Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, or good late night to all of you, wherever it may be. It is the Retro Yuki for the Retro Yuki Game Development Channel, and today I have a lesson for you guys on how to use variables for your game development in RPG Maker MV. In the last episode, we got to touch on how to start making your first events, and we got to look a little bit into the eventing system. In this lesson, we're going to start digging deeper into the eventing system by looking at variables. Now, just a little context, variables are exactly what it sounds like in math class. They're like your X, your Y, your Z. But in the case of game development, they are used for game progression, which is why I decided to start with variables first before talking about switches, self-switches, and conditional branches, because we can combine the factors of those into one quest. And we're going to be talking about that throughout the episode. So let's take a look at what we are making today. Today, we're going to start off with something. I'm going to show you guys something from the game I'm developing, and then we're going to try our best to try to recreate something similar. First, let's go ahead and take a look at the game I'm developing. Before we go on here, we're going to play test my game. Let me just exit that out here, and then we're going to go play test. All right. I know you hear the default theme. Don't be mean to me on that part. I am going to change it. Don't worry. I just want to show you guys something here. Pay attention to my cursor though. Actually, you saw some variables already there, but I'm going to explain that another time. Alright, so let's take a look at what we have here. On the top right of your screen is my game HUD. I'm not going to show you how to use the HUD today because that's a plugin that I'm using, and I'm not going to teach plugins until later on. However, I do want to draw your attention to these numbers right here. You can see here we have 3600 of something, we have a 10 score points, and we have 0 of something and 7 of something. What is this exactly saying? Well, in the case of 3600, we have 3600 angel tokens, which is the currency in the game I'm developing to buy items. The 10 here is how much points you have. I have a little score system that I'm working on with the game I'm developing here, so you guys can see a little preview on what I'm working on too. We have 0 of what I'm going to call bullets. Now, in this game, there's a ranger class that can shoot bullets and arrows. So right now I have 0 bullets and 7 arrows. That's what these are called control variables, and they are controlled by based on how many items you have of that type. Now, the only exception is the score. That's a variable by itself. Okay, by itself meaning it has nothing to do with the items or possession count. Okay? Now that I've shown you that, let's go ahead and talk about the actual creation of variables and how you create variables from here. Alright? Let me just put up the window here. So let's click on a random square. So when we put a random square, we have the following. We have the event editor. Now I'm going to resize this so that you guys can see everything in terms of what we're about to look at. So this is your classic event editor. Now what you want to do for the next part is double click on a empty diamond. Alright? Now I'm not going to show you the event list here, the event commands, because that is basic, but I do want you to go over and click on control variables. Alright? When we click on control variables, you should see something like I have on the right side of your screen here. That's called the control variables. Now, when we have the control variables, if you click on variable single, you're going to see your list of variables that you have for you guys here, as shown here on this side of your screen here. These are my variables when it comes to the game. I'm going to place them here so that it's easier for you guys to see. And the one that's highlighted right now is friendship. That is related to my friendship point system that I'm working on for the game. Now, it's a simple variable where depending on how many friendship points you have, you're going to increase your attack or decrease your attack depending on if you go negative or positive. Okay? But there is a that mechanic has something to do with the plot. But I'm not going to explain further than that, okay? But you can select a variable based on which one you want. For example, let's say I want to do something with actually let's make a new one. I don't want to start making up stuff for the game. So let's say we're going to make a new one. All you have to do is change maximum. Let's add a new one. Then let's go ahead and let's name this test. Okay, then we'll press OK. Now that we're back here, I'm going to close that. I'm going to hide that window. Now that we're back here on your right side of your screen, now that it has changed to test, let's talk about the operations. And I'm going to throw out some computer science knowledge out there, because one of these operations has something to do with CS. So let's go ahead and take a look. There are 5 operations, as you can see here: set, add, subtract, multiply, divide, and modulus. Actually, that's 6. Set is exactly what it sounds like. You set the variable to x. In this case, the x is 0. Alright? Add, subtract, multiply, and divide are exactly what it sounds like. You add, you subtract, you multiply, you divide. The one operation that sounds weird to you guys might be something called modulus, or mod, for example. So what it does, basically, it will divide the variable by a number, either another variable, but the catch is it will only give you the remainder. Okay, that's a little CS computer science stuff. The reason why this works, there's a popular computer science thing they do where they bring up the Three Stooges. If you ever heard about the Three Stooges, Stooge 1, Stooge 3, and Stooge 2, there's a CS, there's a computer science thing they teach you where about modulus, where they give you only the remainder. I know that's how it works. I just forgot of how the numbers work. I know it's 0, 1, 2, and then so on and so forth. But that's basically what it does. Then we have something called operand. This is where all the good stuff happens. The operand is where the good stuff happens, okay? So constant is exactly what it sounds like. The number that is appearing in the box. In this case, 0. Variable means that whatever you do to this variable, you add by another variable or set that equal to another variable or something else. Alright, now this is going to be useful if you're using a mechanic that does have equal to something. If, for example, like my game, you have the score equals the score, that makes it equal to score. Whatever your score is, that's going to be equal to the score value, okay? For example, let's say the test variable will equal the score. We're going to go to variable selector, and then we're going to change this to score. Alright, to point in my case, okay? I'm not going to show you guys that right here. Random, when it's going to random, is a random number between x and y. The x is the one to the left, the y is the one to the right. Alright, now the way that this one works is if the number is x, the number that is chosen is the right number, then you can have something, say something to somebody. If not, you can do something else, okay? It's like another version of a conditional branch, which we will get into next episode. Game data. Now this one is very interesting. Let's have a look at that. Okay? Have a little look at that. So right here I have the game data. The game data has more options for variable up at your disposal. So for example, item possession, you have your items here, weapon and armor. Any of these three selected will have the variable equal to how much of that item, weapon or armor you have for that particular game. Then we have the other options: actor, enemy, character, party, and other. Okay, now if you have like a save counter, you can use the other and drop down menu, and there is an option called save count. So if you guys are interested in that, you guys can check that out, okay? Now, what are these useful for? For those of you who played RPGs like MapleStory, in MapleStory you're allowed to set shortcuts and allowed to, on the bottom of the screen I think, you're going to be able to see how many potions you have. That number is going to be representing how many potions you collected in the game. Now, regardless of how max potions you have in MapleStory, that number is equal to the item of potions, for example. That's what they are using it for, okay? Now, another good example of tracking stuff happens to be with Final Fantasy IX. And I'm picking Final Fantasy IX, not just because that's my favorite game of the Final Fantasy series, but there is Freya Crescent. Now, my favorite character in Final Fantasy IX is Freya Crescent, but there is a reason why I'm pointing her out than the other characters. You see, there is a move called Spear that she can do. Here's the catch. What nobody else knows, I don't think nobody covers this. But I just discovered this very recently when I played Final Fantasy IX. There is a variable that tracks how many dragons, and that's in particular dragons, that you took down. The reason why Freya is involved, if you use Spear on any character, on any enemy, I believe on any enemy, and you kill dragons at the same time, they take that number, add it to Freya's attack value, and then boom. Freya's attack plus how many dragons you killed is equal to her final attack damage variable plus or minus variance for Spear. If that was a mouthful, I apologize. But that is how that works. So that's how that variable, even though it's not technically game progression, can help you with the game development itself. You can give a bonus or you can give a penalty. That's how it works when it comes to like that. Okay? So, let's actually start making our variable up now. Now that I explained the whole backstory of it. Let's say that we want to put our test variable constant of 5. And then press OK. Now that we have this up here, I'm gonna hide all these windows, except for that one. Now that we have our variable here, I think this is locked yet. Now that we have our variable, we already set it equal to 5. I'm just going to add an image. Okay? I'm not going to show it because it's just regular images. Apply. Then I'm going to show text. I'm just going to give you a little escape code as well. Let me just show you guys that window really quickly. So I'm going to show you an escape code so you guys can display the variable in question. You want to type / / be very careful, / v bracket left bracket and the number 22. I believe it's 22. Then right bracket. If done correctly, you preview it. Oh, okay, it says 0, but actually I think it's 21. Okay. Let's go ahead and open up the preview window. Make sure we got something, okay? So here we have a number, we have 0. Now the only reason why I believe it's 0 is because we have not tested the game yet. But if the variable works, the number 0 should appear, okay? So that's a little preview, okay? Now let's go ahead and try it out game-wise. Alright? We're going to close that. We're also going to press OK. I'm just going to add something to it. 5 cookies. Or cookies. And actually, I see the number now, it's 22. By the way, the one that goes inside this bracket is the ID number. So don't put 0022. Just put the number 22. Okay? Press OK. Press apply, press OK. Let's play test. Let's go ahead and play test. If done correctly, you should say 5 cookies. Let's just change this. Not this one. It is this one. Okay, here we go. Besides that, I might make new scenes. By the way, I might make new scenes for this, just in case that we want to do playtesting and all. Okay, let's go ahead and playtest. So I believe it's this guy. Let's see if we did it correctly. And as you can see, we did. There. 5 cookies. So we have 5 cookies. Not really, but that's our variable. Alright, now, why is this important? Maybe because the 5 cookies this guy is talking about how many cookies you need to pass the game. Which brings me to my next point. In the next episode, actually. Next episode, we are going to actually start making our first quest. Well, actually, before we do the quest, we're going to be talking about switches, self-switches, conditional branches, and then we're going to combine everything, including our variables, and we're going to make our first quest. Now, for this particular next episode, we are not using my game doll. We're actually going to go back to our new town. So for the sake, no, it's not because I don't want to put in my game. It's just because the way my game is structured, it's a little bit different. But we are going to be using a new town, okay? Basically saying we're going to go back to this one. Let me open it here. I'm going to open our town here so that it's not confusing. So we're going to go back to here, basically. Alright? We're going to go back here. And then we're going to do our stuff here as well. Alright? So that's what we're going to be doing next time. We're going to start making our first learning about our switches, self-switches, conditional branches, and we're going to combine variables as well so that it makes sense, okay? So thank you very much for watching this episode of Learn RPG Maker MV. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them below in the comments below. If you feel that like I missed something, also point that out because not everybody's perfect. And we'll see you guys for the next episode on Learning RPG Maker MV. Enjoy, and we'll see you guys next time.